Well, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the DC Capstone Report. It is great to be back with you this week for another podcast on Alabama football. Coming off a big victory against the Wisconsin Badgers right here in Bryant-Denny Stadium this past Saturday, where we took them for a 38-14 victory and played well in a good game. So looking forward to be back with you so you can hear another good, unique perspective on Alabama football. I want to thank Lance Shores in the studio, who is back there making all this possible, producing the podcast, and I really appreciate what he does. And boy, if you haven't checked out freelancepictures.com, you're missing out on some wonderful, wonderful pictures that he took this past Saturday at the Wisconsin game. So go and check out Lance's site, freelancepictures.com, rolltidebama.com. We've got some great Alabama football content there. And I'm telling you, some of the best pictures you'll ever want to see of the cheerleaders, the majorettes, the Crimsonettes, the band, $1 Million Band, and the football team. Just amazing photographs there. Lance is a wonderful photographer and does a great job, great videographer. So I am very blessed to have him working with me on this podcast each and every week, making it possible for all of you to listen and see on our videos the wonderful images that he's able to take during the games. I also want to thank our sponsor, Karen Cottingham, realtor right here at Keller Williams with the Williams Group in Tuscaloosa. You can contact Karen for all your real estate needs. She's at 205-887-4008. Contact her, tell her you heard about it here on the podcast. She'll be glad to help you find that home, sell that home, find a place for your game day, find a place for your students that are in the college here at the university. So just reach out to Karen. Again, that's Karen Cottingham, realtor, 205-887-4008. Well, today on the podcast, in the first segment, we're going to review the game against the Wisconsin Badgers. In our second segment, we're going to take a look at our players of the game. In our third and final segment, we're going to preview what to expect from the bye week as we get ready for a game in 2 weeks against the Georgia Bulldogs. Well, welcome back to the podcast for Alabama football, where Alabama keeps getting better each and every week after that disappointing early season loss to Florida State. Seems to have righted the ship. And came into this game and did some really, really good things in this game against Wisconsin. First of all, Wisconsin is no pushover. They come in with a very formidable defense, and they showed it in this game on the run, holding us to under 100 yards rushing in this game. They did a really good job of stacking the box, pursuing with their linebackers, and making a lot of tackles in our rushing game. We did run the ball. Trying to set up the pass, and I think we did. We got away from the run later on and did some play action passes off of that run, which was really successful for some big explosive plays. So I think all in all, we could have done a better job running the ball, but against that kind of defense, that's what you expect. Just they weren't up to the task of stopping our offensive passing game, which was really superb in this game against Wisconsin. Wisconsin tried to run the ball against us because that's what they do, and they weren't able to do so. We held them under 100 yards rushing, was able to hold them to one touchdown on the day. We gave up a special teams touchdown, but our defense only gave up one touchdown on the day, and that was very late in the game in the fourth quarter. And it was one of those perfect passes, perfect drops it into space, and we had a good coverage on it, but didn't get our head around to the ball in time to stop that. But not going to complain about a defense that gives up only one touchdown. Thought they really improved, especially holding them, a team that likes to rush the ball, to under 100 yards after giving up over 200 yards to Florida State in that very first game. So I've seen some great improvement on the defensive side of the ball. And that's where I wanted to start talking about, that improvement on the defensive side of the ball. We came out early in this game with some intensity, and we started fast. And that we won the toss. Deferred to the second half. That put our defense on the field first, and really thought they came out and did well against that rushing attack. Did a good job. And the second thing I think we did on defense was we made some really good efforts. There was no lack of effort in this game. I think there was really good efforts on the defensive front, and our linebackers, and in our secondary. First of all, you have to give the defensive front a kudos to them. With Tim Keenan out, Jeremiah Beeman out for the season, you got a freshman starting in there, Simmons. Thought he did an excellent job of maintaining that. But then you got other freshmen coming in like Kelby Collins. You got people contributing like Keon Seeley, Keon Keeley really did a good job of getting that. And of course, James Smith did a wonderful job as well. And then our outside linebackers, when you move a little bit away from the ball but still on the line of scrimmage, they did a good job. Quay Rusal, Yancy Pierre, and we really did a good job of getting to the quarterback. Now, L.T. Overton did have a slight injury in this game. We hope that he is well and can come back and has time to rehab. But all those on the defensive front, including our outside linebackers, did a good job of making a difference in this game. And we got to the quarterback and really made the sacks this time. Before we were able to get to the quarterback, but we hadn't been able to get him on the ground. And this time we were able to do that. So really thought our defense played well. And then what can I say about our secondary? You did such a good job in the secondary, holding Wisconsin to 117 passing yards, and we got 2 interceptions on the day, and just really pleased with how we played them on the secondary. Didn't give up just that one big play late in the game for the touchdown, but just overall very good performance by our defense in this game. Now, I thought our offense did well. Kevin Riley got the start again, ran the ball hard, did some good job in the passing game catching the ball. I thought we did a good job of trying to run the ball, not getting away with it too early, but then using play action passing off the run to set up some downfield throws, which was good. But our passing game was really the thing that stood out in this game. We had 382 passing yards in this game. And our quarterback in this game played a superb game. He was 24 of 29 and just really seemed to be able to be on point. He was throwing the ball precisely. He was getting it to the right spots. He was checking the right play. Several times you saw him go to our alert, which means he's going to change the play at the line of scrimmage. It was communicated well down the line to all the receivers. Everybody was on the same page, and he was able to go and get what the defense was giving him, throwing the ball to a variety of wide receivers as well as tight ends and running backs. So just thought he did a good job of managing the game and did a good job athletically of using his legs when he needed to extend plays. And then we're able to get out of the grass. Now, we did give up a couple of sacks. I think our offensive line had some issues at times in the running game, and then also giving some pressure upon the quarterback. But I still think that offensive line is still in flux with Jaden Roberts not being completely back to game health. I really like the combination of Roberts and Carroll on the right side. When Michael Carroll came in, even though he's a freshman, he came in and got some valuable reps at right tackle. Wilkin-Forman has been doing a fair job, but I really enjoyed the combination there of Brailsford, Roberts, and Carroll off that right side. Seemed to be doing a better job of blocking for the run when they had that combination there. So I look forward to seeing that down the road. And then another thing I have to give credit for on the offense is the play calling. I think Ryan Grubb called one of his best games this time. We had some straight vanilla calls in the run game and the passing game, and then we had some very innovative calls. I think it was the first time I've ever seen a flea flicker call with a screen pass, which ended up in a touchdown. I've been doing this for a long time now, but I think that's the first flea flicker screen touchdown that I've seen. But it was obviously called to adjust to something coming out of halftime. It was the first play out of the half, and I think that it was an adjustment that was made, something they saw of a pursuit by the defense they take advantage of, and they did so. And they got to the playmaker, Ryan Williams, who did a great job getting it into the end zone. But I think the play calling ability of Ryan Grubb really showed well in this game. So I think overall a really good game. A good game on offense, a good game on defense, a good game on play calling. Did we have some mistakes? Yes. We'll have to clean those up. We had some mistakes. I think it was a mistake in penalties. We made a poor penalty there after that long touchdown on the flea flicker pass where a player on the sideline got into contact with an official and got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Can't do that. You got to have discipline and not do that, so we got to work on that. And then to blow the kickoff coverage, I know the penalty set us back 15 yards, but we should have been prepared and ready to be able to stop that kickoff return for a touchdown. Now, that wouldn't have happened, I don't think, if it had a penalty, because I think it would have been in the end zone, never had the opportunity to run it out. But that just goes to show you what happens when you have a penalty and then a quick turnaround like that to someone running the ball back, you're not prepared. So I think that's something we got to clean up. And I think on offense, we got to clean up some of our blocking schemes to get the right number of right people on the field at the same time to be able to block and protect our quarterback in the passing game, as well as getting some push on the line of scrimmage in the run game. But those are all things that can clean up, and those are all things that happen because you never play a perfect game and you got to work on. And we got time coming out of this game into a bye week to work on those before we play Georgia. Well, welcome back to the second segment here on the DC Capstone Report. We're glad to have y'all here again listening to us. Lance and I are really, we're just in shock each week on the number of people that want to listen to our podcast on football. We appreciate you doing that. And if you want to help us get the word out, then share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it on YouTube, like it, like our page, follow our page, all those things so that your followers know that this is something that people should be listening to. Share it with your friends so that your friends will see it as well. But we really appreciate all of our listeners and all those that comment each and every week on what we do. So thank you again for tuning in. Just want to remind you also, you can catch our podcast on Spotify. I believe it's up as well, and on YouTube as well. So thank you all for tuning in each and every week. Well, here on the second segment, I want to go over our players of the game. Now, this game had an offensive player of the game and a defensive player of the game. I think the offensive player of the game in this game has to be Ty Simpson, the quarterback who waited his turn. He goes 24 for 29 for 382 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game and no interceptions, no fumbles. He did a really good job of managing this game and playing this game. Of those 24 of 29, 2 of those incompletions were in the hands of receivers. One for a touchdown to Ryan Williams that he just absolutely dropped, and another one to Locher Brooks that he Lolly Brooks, but he just absolutely dropped as well. So I think that Ty Simpson played a great game. Love to see him in command. Love to see him changing the plays at the line of scrimmage. Love to see him communicating well. It was clear that he was on in his performance. And I think the commentators in the game may have, who had the same ones that we had against Florida State, have seen a marked improvement over Ty Simpson. And I think he had the command of this game. He had the confidence in this game. So I look forward to seeing him in the future and what he can do. I think he's still got to go on the road and prove that he can do it in a hostile environment. But this bodes well to give him confidence. And I want to say this for Ty Simpson. I think someone needs to speak up and say, hey, let's give Ty Simpson kudos for sticking it out and staying in a day and time and a culture that tells you to leave. If you look at Saturday's games across the nation, the number of Alabama quarterbacks that were in a starting role for another team is amazing. They were in the room at the same time Ty Simpson was in the quarterback room at the University of Alabama. You go to Ohio State, Julian Sayin is starting at quarterback. Quarterback at Alabama, Ty Simpson was in the room. If you go to Boston College, Dylan Lonergan is starting quarterback. He was in the room. Ty Simpson was in the room. You go further to Pittsburgh, and you got Eli Holstein starting at quarterback. He was in the quarterback room. Ty Simpson was in the room. They transferred. Ty Simpson stuck it out. And you go so far to say that on national television, you see Tyler Buckner, who was a quarterback in the room, starting as a holder on the team for Notre Dame. So you got Buckner, Olstein, Lonergan, and Sayin and Simpson all starting for their teams respectively on Saturday, and Simpson is the one that stuck it out, and he's now the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama. Let's give him some credit. Let's don't be looking for the backup to come in and do something or the young freshman to do something. Let's give Ty Simpson credit for sticking around and for doing a good job of improving since the Florida State game. So Ty Simpson is my offensive player of the game. Well, the defensive player of the game, you don't have to look very far to find some player that also had a bad game against Florida State. Got a lot of criticism for loafing, for taking plays off, for not giving effort, and that was Bray Hubbard. I think I am excited to show that he is my defensive player of the game. He came out, he was challenged, he was criticized, and he took it like a man, and it fueled his fire to go out and play better. And he played better in this game. He was flying to the ball on tackles. He was hitting hard. He was giving maximum effort. He was running on every play. And he put himself in positions to make 2 interceptions in this game. So I really believe that Bray Hubbard has turned the page. I believe him being called out was good after Florida State. And I think that's the difference about this team. We talked about culture early on, and I believe that's the difference about this team. When they're called out or when they're held accountable, they recover from that and play better. It doesn't crater them and sulk into a hole and play worse. And so I'm excited to say that two players that played bad against Florida State are my players of the game against Wisconsin, another Power 4 opponent. And that is offense, Ty Simpson, and on defense, Bray Hubbard. Well, welcome back to the third and final segment on the DC Capstone Report this week. I want to thank y'all for listening again. I want to thank my sponsors, RollTideBama.com, FreelancePictures.com, and also Karen Cottingham Realtor right here at the Williams Group at Keller Williams. For all your real estate needs, reach out to Karen at 205-887-4008. Well, we come to that point on the third segment. We always preview the upcoming game, and we don't have a game this coming week. We have a bye week. So let's talk about what can we expect from this bye week. Now, this bye week comes after a big win over Wisconsin, but before we play a big game on the road at Georgia. Georgia came off of a big win this weekend against Tennessee, so we're going to catch them after a bye week, after a big win. So we'll talk about Georgia next week. What can we expect this week for us to gain on this bye week? Well, the number one thing we need to gain is to get healthy. We've got some players that hadn't seen the field yet in Jam Miller and Tim Keenan. And this is an opportunity for both of those players to get into a healthy space so that they can participate in this game against Georgia on the road. And I think we're going to need Tim Keenan to help plug that middle up. He may not be ready in game shape, may not be 100%, but if he can get on the field, I think his leadership will help. And I think it'll also help having Jam Miller as an additional back in that backfield as well. I really believe that health is important. I think we had some players nicked up in this game. I think LT Overton got a little nicked. I think some of the other players that got a little nicked as well have a chance to come back. And I really believe that getting healthy is the number one thing we can do in this bye week. That's get in the training room, get into all those places that get your body in a position to be in the best way it possibly can to compete the next week. So this bye week comes at a good time to get healthy. Number two, I think you can do in a bye week is clean up mistakes. One of the things Alabama needs to clean up is penalties. We got another penalty, another what I call crazy penalty, or penalty you shouldn't make Saturday, and touching an official. That should just be no. You should never do that, no matter what, no matter where you are on the sideline, on the field of play. On the sideline, there should be a get-back coach that gets you behind the white stripe, so you should never come in contact with the officials. Just you should never be there. And so that's something that's got to be cleaned up. Also, pre-snap penalties that put us in bad positions. And also holdings, holes that put us in bad positions that wipe out touchdowns and wipe out long explosive plays. So we've got to clean up the mistakes on penalties to do that. And then the third thing I think that we've got to do in this bye week is execution. Work on execution. And that works on the offense and defense. We need to watch the film, prepare for Georgia in a way on defense that we'll be ready for what they're going to throw at us, and then go out and execute that on the field. And on offense, we've got to find a combination of the offensive line. By the time we go into this fourth game on the road at Georgia, we got to have a solid offensive line because their defense is going to come for us and try to stop the run and put us in passing downs and put pressure on our QB. So we're going to have in a hostile road environment, a really good, solid offensive line, both solid in communication and solid in execution. So I think we can use this bye week to get to a point to put the best 5 players on the field on the offensive line that'll do good. So over the bye week time, let's get healthy, let's clean up the mistakes, and let's work on our execution. Well, that's it for the DC Capstone Report this week. I want to thank all of you for listening to us, and we'll welcome you back next week where we'll talk about what happened in the bye week and preview the upcoming game against the Georgia Bulldogs. Until then, enjoy this coming Saturday and watch some other good football. And we'll tell you again, this is DC with the DC Capstone Report signing off with a big Roll Tide.